LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav and the man is back. He's had a lovely big holiday. He had to get out of Spain because it was too hot, but he's back. It is Seany Lawson. Seany, great to have you back. How are you?
It's good to be back. Good to be back. Nice little break from the madness. Not much went on since I left anyway.
Not much went on, right? And I thought we were going to have a quiet week. We are trying to think of shows to do. It's going to be fairly quiet, but me and Emma were saying on Sunday night, maybe stuff has to happen this week. And then it's all just kicked off again today with all sorts of links. So we're going to go through them. We go through all the names, all the players. I want your view on where you think we should go with this, because it's been 2.5 weeks or something since you've been on. So a fair bit has happened then in that time, but nothing's happened, if you know what I mean. There's just been loads said and loads of theories thrown out there. So before we go on, there's loads of you watching already, loads and loads of you. So hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you know when we go live. But the like button is really important. It helps us. It really, really does. More and more of you been hitting it, and the results have shown. So please keep doing so. But Seany, look, there's loads there that you've given a view on in a couple of weeks ago, and everything's kind of moved on a little bit from there. Henderson, Fabinho going, left out of the squad to Germany, 40 million. Now, I don't know, he has the wrong dog. He's not allowed into Saudi Arabia, stuff like that. Now they're talking about the money, and both sides are trying to sort this out. But let's start with Henderson and Fabinho, just to get them out of the way, right? Rumours going around today that Henderson's at Anfield doing some sort of farewell video, or maybe he's not going, he's telling us why, I don't know. And Fabinho, who, you know, that one looked a lot more straightforward, wasn't in the squad, 40 million, looked like Liverpool were going to take it, the player wanted to go, and it seems to have dragged on. So where are you with both of them?
Yeah, I've kind of made my peace with both of them. I was a little bit annoyed about how the Henderson thing played out. If I'm being honest with you, you could see exactly what was going on there. Kind of tried to strong arm the club, and I think, look, Henderson is one who's split opinion in the Liverpool fan base since the day he walked in, but he's a player I love and I adore, and I have the utmost respect for him and how he handled himself and how he led Liverpool Football Club always to the best of his ability. And it might not, he wasn't the most technical player we ever had, but I was just a little bit, I was a bit like, what the fuck are you doing, sort of thing, the way it played out. Now, whatever about people feel about Saudi Arabia, I just feel if he was going to any other country and he was playing out the way it played out, I'd still feel like, what are you doing, you fucking idiot? You're clearly using your position here in the club when you're getting a load of money and you think they're just going to go for free. It's not going to work like that. And you can see clearly that he's using Dom King to push the narrative that Henderson wants out there. The Fabinho one was just like a regular transfer up until a couple of days ago, when all this fucking mad stuff started about his dog not being allowed in the country. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Seany, I'm going to be honest with you, right? You know me, I love the golf, right? People are saying your mic is a bit crackly, so you might, I don't know, you might go without the headphone or the earpiece. But genuinely, I switched off from football last Friday when the Open was on, and I was setting up the show for Sunday, and people start talking about dogs, and I was like, what's going on here? The last dog I knew about was the one outside Goodison that saved Everton from relegation. And somebody said to me on Twitter, no, the deal could be in doubt because his dog isn't allowed in Saudi Arabia. And I was like, this is fucking off the wall. Shawnee, that's how fucking stupid it's getting. You know, this dog isn't allowed in the country. That's the sort of stuff where, is that just how mad this is? Or is it just a case of, does anybody know what's going on here? Listen, let's just talk about his dog.
It just goes to show the way Saudi Arabia is. It's fucking like, if I was them, I'd be more worried about Fabinho's wife and the mouth on her and the fucking trouble she might cause. She's a bleeding mad, extreme bleeding right winger. They love your man Bolsonaro going over there, and she's real fucking opinionated in her views and stuff like this. But it's funny now how a morality might slip away when big fat checks are getting waved in her face. But I was reading it today and I was like, what the fuck? And then Ornstein saying it's nothing got to do with the dog and having to release these funds.
Like journalists having to mention the dog.
Yeah, like we all know what's going on there. And I know people are saying that the PIF only owned 4 of the clubs, but they really own them all. Like it's all being backed by NBI, it's all being backed by the country, it's all being backed by the state. And if you're offering Mbappe 13 million a week in wages, you can't be. And like Gav, like I'm saying this, and like imagine this time last year we'd have been saying stuff like this. You would have think we were all on mushrooms or something. Like 13 million euro a week, they're offering Mbappe to play football, and then they're going to clubs then trying to play paupers. You can't be going around saying that this is a big project that you have and you're going to put 30 billion into the sport, and then expect clubs not to fucking want that pound of flesh, because like, no matter how hard they try, it's new money, and this is a completely new thing to them. They got away with it with golf and stuff like that because it's not as big as football. But you need to have a look at like thinking to yourself, going, it's just amateurs. A lot of these deals seem to have dragged in terms of Saudi Arabia. We seen what was going on the other day with Fulham when they were like, no, you can't have Mitrovic, and they were like, all right, well then we're just going to activate your manager's release clause and see if we can tempt him coming out. But it's just like complete and utter disruption. Like the window opened in June and they waited to July to start rattling cages. Now I'm happy for both of the boys to move on. I think it's good business from Liverpool. If you're just thinking about it in a business sense, forget where they're going. I think it's good business for Liverpool in terms of getting rid of 2 lads who, like we said after the last game last year, Gav, Henderson's legs just aren't there anymore. And I'd no doubt in my mind that he would have been a more effective player if he was used sparingly this season. But they're just not the same players. And what we're trying to do, I think it's an apt opportunity for us to get these lads out and replace them. But it's only going to be good business if we do what's required after they leave. Do you know what? Like, if in hindsight they both fuck off and they're just replaced by Lavia, that we're being left short. Like, you know what I mean? So,
do you expect them both to go?
I'm not sure, because it seems like a bit of a fucking circus to me, Gav, the whole Fabinho thing.
Well, just on Henderson, right? We'll go to Fabinho in a minute. On Henderson, it was like...
Is my mic any better, by the way?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. On the Henderson thing, it was like he went to Germany, then he didn't appear in the first game, then he left Germany, then it was like... And this is when Dom King starts spinning this narrative that, you know, oh, well, you know, the offer's in there, but he has a lot to think about. And we're like, well, Dom, hold on a minute ago you were telling us he's been offered all these fucking riches and he's agreed it's up, and he was trying to push Liverpool to accept fuck all, you know, the sort of way. And the talk was he was going to meet up with this Steven Gerrard side in Croatia, I think it was, which would have been last night. They were talking about it. There's rumours he's at Anfield today doing some sort of video. So do you expect him to go?
Yeah, I think the Henderson one is as good as done. If you seen him today doing his goodbyes at Anfield, and do you know what, Gav? That's what pisses me off more than any of it. And it's not that it pisses me off. I find it quite sad actually that he's saying goodbye in an empty stadium. And he would have looked at what happened a couple of months ago with Bobby, probably thinking in the back of his head, this is coming down the line for me, and he would have fully deserved it. Don't tell me, like, he would have fully deserved it. And no matter what anyone says or anyone feels about him, you can't say that he wouldn't deserve the send off to go with anyone. But the fact he's robbed himself of that now. Like, and obviously the money's worth more to him. At the end of the day, like Jordan Henderson's not going to die broke. He was never going to die broke, considering the career he's had at Liverpool. But I just do think that maybe 5, 6, 7 years down the line, he's probably thinking, "Fucking hell, I should have been getting handed a plaque by Kenny Dalglish in front of a packed Anfield Stadium, and they probably would have been putting big murals up of me and stuff like that, and getting the adulation that I deserve from the fans." Like, Henderson is loved between the fan base, and I mean, when I mean fan base, I mean match going fans. I mean, like you wouldn't see him, or you wouldn't hear much of that when you're out and around. You only see the kind of vitriol towards him on social media. It's not something that accurately reflects how the fan base feels about the player, and that's the thing about me. That's the thing that I kind of find is sad, that he's he's gone now. Like, you know what I mean? He's out the gap, and that's it. There's no big fucking no longer boy. No 6 weeks before the end of the season, Henderson's finished. That and he's just gone now. And look, I think purely football terms, it's a good move. But I just there is part of me that feels like you let yourself down there, Jordan. People might.
I think the time. I think the timing is poor. I think.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you can argue all day about the the money and where he's going and stuff. And the biggest argument around all this probably wasn't a football one, and probably wasn't a money one. It was a moral one. And just because of the position Henderson has put himself in over the years with regards to LGBT and stuff like that, and then so that kind of.
Gav, I just want to say something on that, actually, right? I don't like. I was getting into, I won't say arguments, there was debates going on Twitter the other day, because I was turning around and saying, look, I won't say that I don't care about the fact that Henderson was an advocate for LGBTQ plus, and he was a figurehead to like a big section of the fan base that probably felt well represented by Henderson and probably loved everything he stood for. It doesn't bother me that he's going to Saudi Arabia, but the thing that will hurt a lot of fans who probably looked up to Henderson, and I don't think that's up for people that doesn't apply to the gatekeep on that. You can't turn around and go, why are fucking fans giving out because he's getting 700 grand? Because people are probably gay that follow Liverpool and probably are thinking, look at this. This is the captain of my football club, the biggest football clubs in England, and he's standing up for that. And that will feel hollow to that section of the fan base now.
Yeah, I think it's doubled down on the fact he's a club captain as well. I think that's
100%. He was the Hendo shuffle and lifting all the trophies in the annals of foot. Like, you see the picture now with Emlyn Hughes and Graham Souness and Dalglish and the pictures of Gerrard in Istanbul. Like, he's gonna be at the forefront of all of them, and that's kind of that not for me. It's not tarnished for me, because I still love Hendo, but there will be a section of the fan base that are massively let down by that. And that's just the reality of it. Yeah. And it's not your place to say if it doesn't affect you, because the fact of the matter is, where he's going to play football, the stuff that he championed and campaigned for, you'd be locked up and probably brought down like you'd be probably killed. And that's, I don't think that's extreme to say that. I think that's just the fucking reality of it, and how much money makes all that go away. And in this case, it just took him a quadrupling of his salary for him to drop all that like a hot snot. And again, I just feel that a big section of this fan base will feel massively, massively let down by Henderson, and it will forever taint his legacy and their heads. And you can't have any quarrels with that, because it's just that's the way it all. That's just how it is, unfortunately.
Ado Pill with a super chat says Chelsea signing players on 8-year contracts. Feels that they definitely had a heads up on all this with regards to Saudi Arabia coming in, players on 1 and 2 years left in the deal and looking for pittance. I'm not too sure. I think the 8-year deals, Ado, might be just the fact that they wanted to spread out payments over 8 years rather than 5, and try their best around FFP, because they were spending colossal money. Darius Hoyt is laughing at the point that Hendo was loved. He says, I adore Hendo, but I can tell you that is a lie. Darius, I'm being honest with you. I've been in Anfield many times and had huge sections of Anfield singing Jordan Henderson's name, and I've seen away ends doing the exact same. I think on a footballing sense on what Henderson's done for the club, I don't think can be argued. You know, my whole thing on this is, yeah, look at the money, yeah, look at where he's gone. But the only thing that kind of sticks out to me is you kind of painted yourself into a corner here, and it's a hard one to get out of with regards to the moral side of it. And I think he'll struggle to get out of that side, and it will tarnish him with a lot of people. Just on Fabinho, you know, it looks like he's gone. There's any delay in it now, we're having the stuff over the dogs, and I've seen reports today saying, look, they're trying to get the deal done. Both sides want it done and trying to sort out any complications. I don't know what the complications will be, because when the team turns up and says we give you 40 million, and Fabinho says I'm not going to Germany because I want to take this offer, which is probably, I don't know, it could double his wages or triple his wage, I don't know what it is. Where's the complication? And you'd have to think that the complication is, we'll put 40 million in, we'll unsettle the player, we'll offer him this big contract, and then the player sits there going, Liverpool, will you take X amount? You know, and I can go to earn all this money. And Liverpool are saying, no, you go for 40 million. You know, on the other side, we're going to talk about Lavia in a minute. Southampton on 50. Liverpool apparently put in a bid when we talk about that in a bit. But the only complication I can see here is that the 40 million.
Yeah. LFC Monty come in there in the comments saying, like, it's virtue signaling. It's not virtue signaling, because I'm telling you, it's not something that overly bothers me because it doesn't affect me. But you can't tell people who are homosexual that they're fucking virtue signaling and they're upset that a fella who they felt represented the fan base is going to play in a country where it's fucking illegal. You know, you can't say that's fucking virtue signaling. Just because it doesn't affect you, it doesn't mean it's virtue signaling. I don't really give a bollocks that Henderson was the face of that, but I know that it's there's a large section of the fan base that will be genuinely hurt by that, and you have to acknowledge that.
I think there's even a section of the fan base.
Say it's virtue signaling, and I'm not going to go on about it because it's not a fucking political podcast. But the thing is, you can't pretend it's not an issue for a section of the fan base just because you're not affected by it, just because it doesn't particularly fucking rattle your cage. Like, it will harm the outlook of a large section of the Liverpool fan base, and that's the reality of it. And I think that's sad as well. And you can't just turn around and say, "Oh, it's fucking great." Like, nobody really. You do the same if you're. Of course, I do the same.
Ravishing Rick Real.
Because I can.
Ravishing Rick Real, who we know, says he thinks the person meant that Henderson was virtue signaling, but I don't think Henderson was needed to put himself in position to virtue signal. That's the way it is. Like, I think what you're seeing from a fan base, and especially you know, people that are LGBT or whatever, when they see the likes of Jordan Henderson coming out and speaking about this, and others, it's not only Jordan Henderson. Like, he's not leading a one-man crusade in the UK. I think it gives them the confidence that if they're a bit unsure about their sexuality or telling people or being open about it, it gave them the confidence to be open about it and to, you know, go to matches with their partners and stuff like that where they wouldn't have done before. And that's where it kind of hurts people. It doesn't affect me. No, directly doesn't affect me, but it does affect other people that, off the back of Jordan Henderson and others, had the confidence to be more confident about who they are. And then it's kind of, oh, I'm not going and doing this now. Look at this, look at this fella. But that's the way it is. Sorry. LFC Monty says it's more the messenger, not the message, Shawnee. Sorry for not making that clear. That's fair.
No, I get that.
So Fabinho, right? Let's say he is going, and you're saying it's good business to be 52 million between the two of them. Let's say he is going, right? You're happy with that, I presume, because you think we're getting our money back, and he hasn't been great for the last 18 months. But what happens if he doesn't?
I'm not mad if he doesn't. I'm like, in an ideal, like, I think in an ideal world now, Lavia comes in and Fabinho hangs around, and I think, again, much like I said, Fabinho does look like his legs are on the wane, but I'd expect him to be better next year with a fucking midfield around him, with McAllister, Szoboszlai, and fucking Lavia in there to kind of take the weight off him. He won't be expected to play twice a week because you won't have to play Europa League group stage games anyway until after Christmas. So, like, I think the money. I think it'd be great money to get for him, but I don't think it wouldn't be something that would screw us over if this move did fall through. So I'd imagine that the club are probably really relaxed on it.
Talk is he's due back into training tomorrow if this isn't advances in some way.
Yeah, well, look, if he has to train, he has to train. But like, if he shows up and trains tomorrow, doesn't mean he's not gonna go. It just means that they're covering their arse so that if it does fall through, that he's ready to play games when we need him. Because there's no point having the fella just sitting by. I still think he goes. I do. I really do. Like, I remember when Ronaldo first went to Saudi Arabia, there was people saying that there was going to be an issue with his board sleeping in the same room with them because they're not married, and that's the law over there and stuff. I was kind of going, look, you're showing yourself up here. It's a fucking French bulldog. He's hardly bringing a fucking exotic line in. It's like bleeding. What's that? Remember that? Nothing to declare and bleeding on the telly.
Yeah.
Elman's bringing plant pots into Australia full of
that does be mental, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely mad. Like, it's a fucking dog for folks. Like, they're probably all living in big condos out there. He's not going to be leaving an apartment, like, you know what I mean?
Sean Bork asked the question. Sean Bork asked the question I was really asking, to be honest. He said, "Would you be worried about his commitment if it didn't happen?" Because I'm presuming it's him that pushes to not go to Germany because he wants this deal. Hasn't been near Liverpool's pre-season. Wants this deal done. Could be part of, the Saudis going, oh, well, we don't really want to give 40 now. I'm kind of leaning on Liverpool a little bit. Is there an argument there to say, no, this kind of has to happen because it's gone a bit too... It's not like a deal comes in and it's like Liverpool accept it and go, Fabinho, we've accepted, go. It's been a bit of the other way around. Would you be worried over his commitment?
Yeah, there would be questions, but I've no issue with how it's been handled. It's been handled like a normal transfer. I think the issue with it here is I just think the Saudis are pure amateur when it comes to this stuff. It's all very new to them. It's the same group of people buying players for nearly all the clubs. So imagine the amount of deals that they're working on. Do you know what I mean? It seems to be a common theme with the moves that they just take longer than usual. It's just, this is like something out of Bleeding Ireland's own magazine. They can't go into the country because the dogs. It's mad. Whether that isn't the truth.
It's like someone turning up in Ireland with a snake and people going, no, St. Patrick said they're not allowed here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing is, if it does fall through and clubs around Europe now is priced, someone might want to take a gamble on them. You know, and like, that's what it is. I'm relaxed about it. If Fabinho stays, I see the positive in it. If he goes, I see the positive in it as well. But the only worry would be that is if it's 2 out and 1 in, I think we're in trouble. If it's 2 out, there has to be 2 in, definitely.
Well, let me get to that now. Yus says, I lived in Australia for a bit. I had a half-eaten sandwich in my bag at immigration and thought I was going to get the firing squad. I remember that programme, and in fairness, like, I'm coming off the planes with all sorts, like bags of seeds and all. The Australians just don't have any bar of that, don't they? Like, no. And you don't even take it off you and go, listen, enjoy your holiday. You just go, you're not coming into this country. You had the audacity to turn up with a packet of peanuts. It's not happening. Fuck off back where you came from. It's absolutely mental. Arj throws up something here before we go on to Lavia. Now, I agree with you. Let's get it out there now. If them two boys go, 2 have to come in. You just have to. I think there are a sweet spot at 8 midfielders. These 2 go, you're down to 6, bring in 2, brings you back to 8. Fine. The 8 that's there is better than the 9 that was there last year. You know what I mean? Arch says, the Andre deal has legs, lads. We have good links with the club. Allison and that younger keeper we got played for the club. Is it Fluminese? This guy, Andre, is that?
Yeah.
Linked, 22-year-old, linked for, I think, £20 million. And look, Keith Plunk is probably the man to talk to about this, rather than me and you, but does that feel like the right profile of link, Shawnee, if Lavia is there as well? Because that's 2 young players, and I'm not against it. I had this with Kev last week. I told him I'm not against it.
If I'm being brutally honest now, it wouldn't do it for me. Now, I wouldn't be fucking throwing my toys out of the pram, but you don't want to bring a fella in who's no Premier League experience at all. to kind of to play alongside Lavia. I think for me the Decore one makes so much sense for so many reasons, because I think he's had a season in England. He was really good in France before he left. I think you probably get him for a reasonable price. I don't think the 70 million price tag is. I just don't. I think Palace could be primed to get ripped apart this year, because I think they were decent enough last year and they probably need a reset. So I'd be more looking at the Corey definitely than this Andre fella, because I'd be lying through me hole if I said I knew he even existed before. A lad out my job in a WhatsApp group, and he was like saying, "No, you can fuck." He rates him, he likes him, but
Keith was talking about it and said he's a good player, because Keith watches so much South American stuff.
If I'm being deadly honest with you, my mate is with a Brazilian, and he's watching Corinthians all the time, and he's like, the standard of football is absolutely piss.
Yeah,
it's joy. He said, I don't know what the measuring stick would be in Europe, to be honest. He said, to probably be below the Dutch league.
Yeah,
and that's probably not a bad thing, but like fucking, I would not be going near him. Yeah, man, Andre. One, because I never seen him play, and two, because he's never played in the Premier League, and you don't know what you're gonna get with them lads.
Yeah,
it does take them a while to come in and settle and this, that, and the other. So,
you wouldn't mind if they put in 20 million and said, look, keep him for a year. You know what I mean? Or we're bringing him over here and we're going to throw him to a Premier League team for a year. But he's not coming in to solve our midfield problems right now, I don't think. But then again, you will get people out there to go, well, remember Soicedo and remember this, and you know, and you're kind of going, yeah. So if we go down that, like, there's so many people out there that, you know, go, oh, we missed out on Enzo Fernandez, and we missed out on Moises Soicedo. Why aren't we scouting these players?
Was 18 when he moved to
what I'm saying is, Seany, if we brought that fella and said, look, we got a fella from South America, highly rated, we're going to bring him in, people going, what the fuck are you doing? Will you go out and buy 50, 60 million? So you can't win either way. But it's a link there. I'm sure Keith's on his holidays and reading about it and being very excited.
Probably
Nigel with a super chat says, bring back Millie Guinness on me, guys. Thanks a million to Nigel. And sorry, there was somebody else there says, Boom Boom 43 says, Andre apparently says he wants to honour his commitment and finish out the season with Fluminese.
Yeah, so that'd be the December, January job then.
Yeah. Andre is like another form of Thiago, says Arch. He is fucking class. We've missed out on these prospects. I do agree it's a risk, but it might be worth a shot.
You're a lying bollocks. There's not a fucking snowball's chance in a microwave you ever watch that fella play football outside YouTube. I'm calling you now.
Andre me bollocks. Right. Yeah, exactly. Come here, let me talk to you. So I say though, all sorts going on with Chelsea. It's meant to have stalled, blah 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 blah. I'm not going in. I'm not going into Soicedo tonight, but Lavia. So the rumour is that Liverpool have offered somewhere around £37 million for Lavia. I don't know whether that's, 34 plus add-ons. I don't know. It's 37 million. Anyway, supposedly turned down by Southampton, who came back with a counter offer. You would believe the counter offer would be, no, just give us 50, will you? He started tonight against Bournemouth in a pre-season friendly. The talk is he played 45 minutes. I seen a thing here earlier from Dylan O'Rourke, so I'll throw it up here, Seany, because you've probably forgotten it by now. But so basically, he plays 45 minutes in this pre-season friendly against Bournemouth. Okay, and it says Russell Martin after the Southampton game said Lavia has a lot going on in his head at the minute. Reports he looks very uninterested in the match, and Dylan reckons this will be done by Thursday. We know you need to. We agree we need to. But are you okay with Lavia being one? Because I'm going to say it now. I'm going all in on this fella if he signs to Liverpool. I want him to start in the midfield for Liverpool. Don't care who's around him. That's how much I'm into this signing.
Yeah, like he's one of them players, Gav. Whenever I watch Lavia, he's impressed me. I thought he was fucking. I remember he played Chelsea. I think it was early in the season, saying he's a fucking player. And then I was like, he came from City and they have a boy black clause on him. So I was kind of thinking, well, he's gonna stay there for a couple of years, and he's gonna go back to City. And then every time you watch him, and I watched the game against Arsenal at the Emirates. He was fucking brilliant. Now, admittedly, he's young and he makes mistakes. He makes a big mistake against Liverpool at St Mary's, but he's a 19-year-old, and that's to be expected. And I think we'll see more of that of him next year if we do sign him. Same way we'd see it from Bajetic, because it's just lack of experience. But he's unbelievable, Gav. Like, you think of the age bracket he's in, 19 years of age, a specialist number 6, holding midfielder, all the tools he had. He's good on the ball. He can turn out on the ball. He's great in the tackle. He's quick. Like, if you're profiling a 19-year-old number 6, like, there's not many around Europe that are better than him, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you're buying potential, and that's the price of potential these days. 50 million is not actually all that much when you think about it. He's 19, so say there's only 20, just gone 21, I think. So played a little bit more football on him. So you're kind of, I think it's similar to we talk about Colwell. I think if you're gonna get this fella, like, this is the only chance you're gonna get to get him, because he's not gonna stay. He's not going to stay at Southampton beyond this window, wherever he goes. And wherever he goes, then I think he's just going to explode. And the best way I can put it is, if you were to bring this fella in, forget about needing the experienced fella beside him. Imagine 3-4 years down the line, you have a double pivot, Bajetic and Lavia, after playing a few years in the Premier League with the ability that they have. That's the type of midfield that you'd start away at the Nou Camp or at the Bernabeu in the Champions League, round the 16 game. All the technical ability and the little bit of nous. It's going to take time. I do believe we would need an experienced player in as well. That would be the ideal situation. But I don't think fucking bringing him in as a 19-year-old is going to be a complete disaster. I think if you're good enough, you're old enough. I think he's all. Like, there's no way anyone who's not watched this fella and said, he's going to be a top player. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be a top player.
The doubt is probably just over where Liverpool are in this midfield change.
Yeah,
I think in a year's time, if we had something if we're talking about this in a year's time and Lavia is in the exact same position, you're going to go and get him, because we're at the moving 3 in 3 or 4 in the midfield, and he's the next part of it, and you go and get him, and we're really solid in what we're doing, and he can come in. But I just have a feeling Klopp's going to throw us an absolute curveball here, and I think he's going to bring in 2. I think he's going to bring in him and 1 slightly older than him. I don't think he's going to go for massive experience, although I'm not against it. I just feel a curveball coming. So I have a few comments on him, and then you can shoot. Yeah. John says Romeo Lavia looked decidedly uninterested during the first half. This is a quote from tonight. Head down, often walking around, showed glimpses of his class, but looked like a player wanting to move away, taking off at half time. Kevin Ball says he dominated Chelsea in midfield twice last season. Throw him in there. Colin Creeman says he was brilliant in a bad Southampton side. He's very good stats also. And Brian O'Halloran says good passer, tackler, great energy, works hard for the team, and he's quick too. So there's a lot of people really like Romeo Lavia. I think, in fairness, me and Kev had a ding dong last week, and Kev's only thing over it was really good, but I wouldn't put. I think our argument was, would you put him in and start him? I would. He wouldn't. But then it comes back to, if you're second and you need a second one in, where do you go with this, right? Because do you go with your experience that's going to be there for 2 or 3 years to watch over this fella as he does it, and Bajcetic, or do you go with someone and go, do you know what, we're going balls deep here, and we're just going with Lavia and, I don't know, pick anyone. You know what I mean? Pick another young, Manu Kone, someone like that.
Yeah.
Is Klopp willing? Where are you on this? Because I completely see the experience stuff, but I feel a 28, 29-year-old, and you're just having the same conversation in 2 years.
Do you know what, Gav? I'd be a lot more comfortable with this if I knew Klopp was going to stay beyond his current contract. I'd have actually no issue with it, because I'd be just like, do you know what? We're fully in transition now, and all we need to do is be top 5 next year with the new rules, and we're in Europe, and then we'll go again, and you add to the team that way. But I understand everyone wants to bring players in, so we're fucking ready to win trophies next year. But I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. I think we will be far better next year, but we still got a lot of work to do. But off the top of my head, I can't get your man Decore. I think he's fucking clap. Decore reminds me a little bit of Kande when he was at Leicester the first time, and I was at the first game of the season last year at Anfield, against Palace, and he was fucking everywhere. He was absolutely everywhere. And again, anytime I watched him then after that, he really impressed. So he'd be one I'd looking at. I know you're a big fan of Douglas Luiz. I think he'd be a perfect player. He's a lot
Yeah,
of
I
Premier
really
League
like Douglas
experience.
Luiz.
Yeah, a lot of experience and a lot of quality. And I think he'd be like a perfect type of signing. I also think Paulinho would have been a really, really good signing, but obviously he has an injury now, so we may not push forward with that. So it's hard to know what we're going to do. Like, I know Emmett is banging the Højbjerg drum, but if I'm being honest with you, people won't like the sound of this. If you're throwing Højbjerg in there with a Lavia, it's not the worst, I'm being deadly serious. I do think that we do need. I've seen people in the chat saying we need a bridge player, and I agree. But it depends what way you're going to go with it. And I think he could be sort of. You want just a steady Eddie in there beside him, because look around there now in the midfield. We've been. I won't say starved the quality, but that was the engine room, and it was always Walkman. Like Seany, who was quite technical, really good, never gave the ball away, but he wasn't lighting her up with goals and assists. And you'd Fabinho and you'd Henderson there, and look, they won the lot, but we weren't built on being fucking this flashy midfield team where there was we just had a front three that scored 1 million goals. We had a midfield that ran their bollocks off, and we had a back line with Van Dijk and Alisson in it, and it just got us the whole way. But look at the quality we have now in midfield. We could probably afford to have a little yard dog in there just going around bouncing people around and giving the ball to the fella beside him. When you have players like Trent there with his technical ability, Szoboszlai, you've Alexis McAllister, you've Curtis Jones there, I say, who really kicked on the back end of last year. So, like, there's not many options, but I think if you're doing Lavia with a fella with a bit more experience, you're flying. But it's a bit of a juggling act now. What you can't do is sell them two boys, Henderson and Fabinho, and just bring in Lavia. Like, a lot of people are throwing Amrabat there in the chat. I think he's a good player. Yeah, man, Amrabat. I made the same mistake as the fucking Aegis off United stand, thinking this was the same fella who played for Watford. But it's his little
remember
brother.
that?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I made the same mistake. I'm not gonna lie. But he's a really good player. But all the talk is he wants to go and play for Ten Hag again, because I think Ten Hag managed him at Alkmaar or something like that. I could be wrong, but I think he did manage him somewhere previous. I remember hearing. So, look, I don't know what they're going to do. The only thing I hope is that it's just you're not selling Hendo for Fabinho, and you're only bringing in Lavia, because you're not only leaving yourself there short body-wise, I think you're leaving yourself a bit of an experience gap. That's not to say that fucking Lavia can't come in and play 30-odd Premier League games and rip it up, but at the end of the day, he is a 19-year-old. You have to be fair to the kid and give him a chance to progress without being under crazy pressure. And I think that's where the Europa League will come in handy next year.
No, he says it was Utrecht.
Yeah. Look, all the fucking same.
Yeah.
They're all Dutch teams that wear red and white. Ask me bollocks, will you? Fucking. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Like you said, there could be a fucking curveball out of nowhere, and you bring in someone we don't really expect. But Lavia and one other that has been around the block but has enough quality to push us on, I think would be the ideal scenario.
Boom Boom says Klopp.
Heskey keeps saying, Seany, elaborate top 5. The top 5 in the Premier League next year will be in the Champions League.
Yes, yeah. Boom Boom says reckons Klopp didn't like Amrabat's attitude when he spoke with Jeremy, so didn't go back into him. United are welcome to him. I think he's a good signing for United. I think he'd be a good signing he'd be alright for him. I think he's an alright signing. He's sitting there in Fiorentina. If he was, for me, he could have been snapped for 25-30 million from Fiorentina after that World Cup, and he wasn't. You know what I mean? He simply wasn't. And now it's the talk 25 million again. Like, that's That's a nothing amount of money now in football terms. And I don't know, there may be just some doubts about him. I thought he had a brilliant World Cup, don't get me wrong, but I'm not too sure he's the one that you bring in. Like, I'm really caught between. I've no problem if you brought someone in at 27, 28 and you said, look, he's just going to be there for 2 years. We know he's not going to be the best thing in the world, and we get rid of him in 2 years when say a Lavia is just our main number 6, Bajcetic is there with him, and we want to bring a project in, as they say, in 2 years' time. So I think it's not only looking at what we want now, I think it's what we're looking at going further down the line. Cahill says I'd get Lavia and Kone. Renalan Padiachi, and I hope I've said that right. He says, imagine Lavia and Kimmich. Kimmich's name does pop up, and I'm like, yeah, that's not bad in fairness. Just says Amrabat does a job, solid player, now special, but sometimes that's all you need to be. And that's where I see the argument for Amrabat. Nothing special, just gets in and does it. Danielle reckons Amrabat is more West Ham quality. Lavia and Thuram, says Sam Tandy. And let me see.
If I'm being a little bit hipster, like I'm gonna be a little bit hipster. If I could handpick one player that's not really been named, it'd be Zubimendi of Sociedad. He's fucking quality.
Right.
He's really, really, really good. Like my type of player. A bit like an Alonso Maul, hold screen.
Alvarez being mentioned at Ajax as well. Sorry, that was the other one.
Yeah, he's decent player, and he's versatile as well. So he would be one that would make sense really in terms of a profile. But Zubimendi is one that I really, really like him at Sociedad. I think he could be one to keep an eye on, but I believe Barca and Atletico are sniffing around him at the moment.
And a lot of them, in fairness, it's a bit like if you don't get him now, you don't get him because they go to a Spanish club and they stay at a Spanish club. And if they prove it there, they stay there. If they don't, they end up just moving down the league a little bit in Spain and staying where they are. Have you seen any of the pre-season?
Highlights, Gav. Just highlights.
What have you made from the highlights?
Not a lot. Nunes looks sharp.
Mm-hmm.
McAllister looks sharp. And Ben Doak is the second coming of Kenny Dalglish.
Right.
/ Archie Glemel / Leo Messi. Yeah. I genuinely think he's going to be a superstar because he just has that little head on him that he just like, I don't give a bollocks. I know I have ability. We seen him when he come on last year against Villa. The little bit of magic out of him. I hope he's kept around this season and given games because again, back to the old adage, I think good enough, old enough. I think he has all the tools based on the few bits I've seen. Kwanzaa as well is one who I have a mate of mine is doing analysis in England for Aston Villa, and he's been looked at by a lot of the clubs in England. Like the likes of Brighton and all are looking at Kwanzaa. Trying to snare him.
When you pick up at that age, yeah.
So he has quality. Like he's 20, he is 20, but I wouldn't be surprised if he features because Klopp has a bit of a headache now because it depends how serious he's going to take the Europa group stages. And
I think Kwanzaa's definitely in there as the fifth centre half because if rumours are believed, Nat Phillips is on his way out, right? So and Reece Williams has gone to Aberdeen on loan, so you're left with Kwanzaa. There's no one else there. I don't think.
The thing with Kwanzaa is he has
Van den Berg's gone to Mainz.
He has all he has the qualities that you'd associate with a modern centre half. He's huge, he's quick, and he's really good with the ball. You know, so it's just a shame he's a right-sided, more of a right-sided centre half because he would have been a fucking perfect. It's just had he been on the other side. Now, obviously, you could train him to play that side because Van Dijk has played left side of a back four, but he's Virgil, you know what I mean? You kind of have to give a bit of a leeway there. But Kwanzaa, really like the look of him. I think McAllister's going to surprise a lot. Obviously, people know how good he is, but I don't think people know how good he is. Really, just how good he is. I think McAllister's fucking. He's gonna be one of our he's gonna be one of our key players next year, I believe.
It's
But
the thing on Doak.
I try not to read too much into
No.
pre-season because like them lads before that game yesterday, they're playing fucking lads in the second tier of the Bundesliga, but they probably had to run about fucking 15k in the morning before the game. I know the game was early, but they do have double sessions in their legs. They do be bollocks. It's just a complete exercise. That's all it is.
The thing on Doak is that Klopp's very open about saying how good he is and the joy of he is to watch. I was listening to him on the Liverpool podcast today. I watched some of the video the other day, but I actually listened back to the podcast version. And he's very open about saying, look, Ben Doak is a joy to watch. He's so exciting to watch. Even, and he said, and he puts it in there, and it's a really clever way he does it. He goes, even with those things when he loses the ball now and then. And it's basically saying, love what you're doing, but sometimes just take the option where you keep the ball. And the next time you can have a go at the defender, because we're watching Doak, he just wants to attack people all the time. And I think what Klopp is trying to build into him is you can attack, but just in different ways. You know, instead of trying to go outside a fella all the time or steamroll over a fella, you know, with pace and trickery, a little ball out to somebody and get it back, get you in the same, if not a better position. And that's where he is with Doak. Kwanzaa looks a unit, and I'm not surprised people are around him and having a look to see, you know, if they could, like you said, snare him from Liverpool. But I think he is the fifth choice centre half, unless Liverpool bring in a centre half. And there has been nothing out there, bar the Levi Colwill stuff, which has gone very, very quiet again, to suggest that Liverpool are going to bring in a centre back. It all seems to be on midfield. And I'm confident enough over two midfield, because I think Klopp would have been looking at one definitely, but when these two go, he has to bring two. It just makes sense. You're left with 8 midfielders. A lot of people in the chat there saying, look, forward wise we look great, defensively we don't.
Yeah, look really sharp.
I think like you're saying, not reading too much into it. If you look at the forwards, right, they're all air normal forwards playing with each other in this pre-season. You're getting the likes of Lewis Kumas has come on and done a bit, but it's the forwards playing with the forwards. The midfield, you see how many's left from last season. You've got 2 new ones in there. One of them's only played 1 game. You have young fellas in there with them, and the same in defence. There's a lot of young fellas gone in there and playing different goalkeepers. So I think the defence haven't been great in the games, but when you look at what we've thrown into midfield and what we've experimented with there, the front line was always going to look best, because it's, you know, they're the most settled of the whole squad is the forward line. We know what those 5 are. We're throwing Doak and Kumas at it a little bit, but other than that, they're really settled. So, but I wouldn't read too much into it. It's all about fitness. It's all about rhythm, and you'll see it stepped up a little bit against Leicester. You'll see it stepped up again against Bayern Munich, and then you'll see close to what you're going to see against Chelsea when we play. The name escapes me who they're playing, but they're playing in Preston. So that's where I am on pre-season. I really like the games. I love the way they come every 4 or 5 days now, when you just chill out and watch them. We're going to leave it there. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Any other names you want to talk about?
No, I'm kind of looking forward to it now coming back. Kind of had me feel of football at the end of the season, but now it's kind of the excitement starting to build now. I think let's see what happens now in the next few days. I think if anything's going to happen with this Lavia deal, it's going to happen soon. I think we're a bit lucky in the sense that it looks like Arsenal are going to hold on to Thomas Partey, and Chelsea are fucking him and an
they're holding on to him, are they?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think that makes more sense than anything.
Yeah. Well, if they were going to let Partey go, then they were going to be going right. There's Lavia. Then you bring him in, then in fucking 2 or 3 years he'd be playing beside Rice, and there'd be nothing like them. Because that could be the case. Like, you know what I mean? Who knows? I'd say there might be an update tomorrow or something. Paul Joyce might say that fucking the clubs have reached an agreement and he's gonna do. It's normally how it plays out with Liverpool. The fact that I can't remember the last time I seen Liverpool have a bid rejected, because it's normally just fucking done and dusted. But it looks like to me that Southampton are probably trying to get a little bidding war going, but I don't think they will, because I think Chelsea's hands are kind of tied with the old Caicedo thing. They seem to be hemming and hawing over that. So, yeah, I think it's a good chance now to nip this fella in the bud and bring him in. Then again, get excited at who might or might not come in, because like after Lavia, I don't know what we're gonna do. There hasn't been any real fucking solid links. Are they gonna go back and get your man Kone? Are they gonna do Thuram?
I think the Lavia one looks like if they've made a bid, you know what's happening there. And someone made a great point earlier. He said, look, it was in the chat, so it wasn't me making this point. He said, look, if Liverpool have gone in there with 37-ish million and it hasn't happened, you could nearly bet that Liverpool's next offer will be what they're prepared to pay, the most they're prepared to pay. And if I'm saying, no, Liverpool will walk away. It's just how they work.
Yeah,
sort of way.
It is how, and like people will have issue with that, but
that's how they work. And
that's
as well as that,
operate.
I don't think anybody really thinks 50 million. It's a bit. I think if that touches 43 to 45, I think it gets done. You know, Liverpool give them 37 up front and rising to 45 with those incentives being he plays X amount of games and stuff like that, rather than he has to win a league or a Champions League. I think that'll get done. The second one's going to come from left field. 100% is going to come from left field, and I think it might come very quickly after Lavia, because I think there's no way they don't want to. There can't be, Seany. There just can't be, after the evidence over the last few years and the amount of players that left that we need to. You can't. It's not fair on the likes of Bajcetic to turn around and go, oh, listen, we're just bringing in that fella beside you. It's not fair.
Yeah, and we're saying you can't do a gap, but like, fucking, not to be that guy, but they have done it. They've done it in the past, you know. So like, that's where I have that's where the seed that out of my mind is they've done it before.
Yeah, I think.
And I know
but this is
been adamant that they were going to go fucking gangbusters in this window.
Well, look, let's be honest. If they sign Lavia, it's 140-ish million they've spent, and one more, it'll probably bring them close to 200 million, and that's what they needed to do. Jake says, Gav's, and by the way, before I read this, Kevin Ball reckons these quotes are fake. He says, Gav, thoughts on Carvalho's quotes that he doesn't speak to Klopp, and how he's told he'd play at 10 before he joined and now wasn't given the chance. I've seen that. Carvalho saying he didn't really speak to Klopp before he left the club and blah, 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 blah.
Carvalho's finished at Liverpool. He'll never play for Liverpool.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what's going on with him. I've seen the quotes, but I just kind of went, look, he's on loan at Leipzig. Like, no offence, but why are we making this big thing about him? You know, the sort of way. Leave him on loan and we'll see where it goes. We've bigger things to be worrying about at the moment. That's why I felt it. Jono feels we've no leverage. We need DMs, and the club know that prices are going up. The Corey went from 35 million to 70 million in the space one day. Well, the Corey went 35 to 70 million. Did Palace come out and say they wanted 70 million? Did he? But you see, they can come out and say what they want, right? But the market value is still there. The market value is still there. Liverpool will go in and go, we feel his market value is 50. Well, we want 70. All right, thanks for taking the call. Phone down. Gone. Liverpool don't play that ball unless it's something, an immaculate footballer like a Virgil van Dijk or an Alisson. They don't play that ball. Simple as that. And the funny thing is, you can give out about it, but if someone else goes in and goes and pays 70 million for the Corey, you'd be laughing at them. You'd be going, fucking hell, this fella wasn't even mentioned 3 weeks ago, you're paying 70 million for him. So you have to, balance your expectations, I suppose, with a bit of reality and what would happen if it was somebody else doing it rather than us. Let me see. Yeah, look, we're definitely going to be speaking about this before the end of the week, Seany, about possibly the confirmation on Henderson, Fabinho. Maybe that if that bid is in for Lavia, you can probably expect another one in the next 48 hours. And hopefully, if Liverpool want them, they'll get them. And then we wait and see for a second. I'm hope maybe a centre-back stuff appears at some stage. Chelsea won 50 million for Conor Gallagher, and he hardly played last year. Was it West Ham putting a 40 million pound bid today? And that got torn down. But that's where you're at. Like, West Ham shouldn't be going near 50 million for Conor Gallagher. Nowhere fucking close. There's 30. They're looking to get 40 on that bid, to be honest. But I know that's how it is, but you don't have to pay it. You don't have to pay it. Do you know what I mean? Avo feels that Fab stays and Hendo goes. I think they both go. Seany thinks they both go, yeah? Before we go?
Yeah, I think so. I think they get the passport for the dog and it'll be all sorted.
Yeah, the passport. Once the dog picks up his bleeding post office stamps, it'll be all systems go. And gets a few quid off his nanny when he's going on his holidays. Everyone gets a few quid off their nanny when they're going on holidays. Seany, anything else before we go? Last chance.
Yeah, from anyone in the Greater Dublin or surrounding areas, just gonna give you a fact now. North side funerals are better than weddings.
Legal,
That's a fact. Yeah, but like the crack I had yesterday.
Where were you?
Was that my Uncle Joe's funeral? Bertie's father.
Yeah.
Bertie of this parish, late
Yeah.
father, an absolute fucking a legend of a man. We had a great send off yesterday. We absolutely brilliant.
Where was it on?
It was in the Gar Club out in Kilbarrack.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fucking brilliant. It was an absolutely brilliant day. Like, it's kind of like one of them things. It's like a celebration of his life, obviously. Like, but
Yeah.
like fucking bad in some way. Like, I've had more crack yesterday than I did at some weddings.
Yeah.
It's
Funerals are way better than weddings.
Yeah.
Way better.
It was a great day, and just a shout out to all the boys, the cousins out in Kilbarrack. They absolutely they smashed it. Yeah, you're out being beaming, I'd say.
Yeah.
But
And,
they probably laughing at you, fucking scatting around the place to madness. Fucking they're mad. The Moshe's are bleeding mad. They are absolutely nuts.
well, look, our condolences to Bertie, and we get him back on soon because Bertie is some man as well. But as Seany said, he gave his father a great send off yesterday, and then we will get Bertie on soon. And listen, he might even invite us down to the GAA club in Kilbarrack, and he might stick on a bit of madness for us. You never know. Bertie would. He doesn't give a fuck, to be honest with you. And Rango says weddings are shy. Weddings are good, but funerals are way better. They just keep going up a notch every half hour until it just reaches maximum. And they reach maximum at about 4 in the day. Weddings take about till 11 o'clock at night to get going. Funerals are the way to go. If you're having a wedding, just pretend it's a funeral.
People are in the chat saying there is that taking a turn. Like, trust me, it didn't. The whole you don't. I think maybe it's probably the same in England in some parts, but Irish funerals are
brilliant.
Mental. Because you're just sitting around talking about the person who was passed and telling stories, hearing stuff that you.
And then someone's friend turns up with a banjo or a guitar, and then it just goes rasher.
And there's always some outfit who just walks around who nobody really knows, but just walking around like it is one of them ones.
And but my only strong feeling on funerals is there has to be a full carvery. That's my only strong feelings on funerals.
No, but there was a DJ that wasn't full carvery, but there was a lot that was playing chicken and stuff and sambos to bake the band. Fucking
amazing.
Brilliant it was. Absolutely brilliant.
Anyway, Antoine says, wait, not that Bertie that was on the show. Yeah, that Bertie that was on the show. And Bruno
Bertie's in the chat there. Thanks, Johnny. It was a session and a fucking was. It was.
And Brian O'Halloran says, we don't even take funerals seriously. No, we don't. And like, as things are, like, it is a celebration of someone's life, and the Irish just celebrate it. But then they kind of make it about themselves because they have a lovely day themselves. But it does be amazing. Anyway, that has been the transfer show for tonight, which is, what day is today? Tuesday night. I know Kev and Chris were recording a Great Games show because they just can't get a slot at 10 o'clock anymore because transfers are doing that in. So that has been recorded. So hopefully this show and their show will be released as a podcast tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like on the way out. 3 people don't like us, Seany, but that's not a bad ratio. 253 do, 700-ish for
they're
watching.
My brothers, probably.
Right, our brothers. And Ravishing Rick Real. And Veranda Chase. But hit the like button on your way out. It's been an absolute pleasure with Seany having him back. It's been a pleasure with everyone in the chat. And this show is dedicated to Bertie's old man. So you have to, wouldn't you? Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.